Hi there, everyone. I'm down here, by the way, if you haven't noticed. This is Balsamic Games. We are back, and sorry, I'm trying to. There we go. We are back, and we are very happy to see you. Yeah, eyes down here.
We
everyone.
can see them?
We are playing a lovely, different game, as you might be able to see on the screen, Under the Autumn Strangely, by developer Graeme Gents, pictured above. And so we're going to quickly go through and introduce ourselves to all of you before we start the game for tonight. Let's start with Graeme.
Hi, everybody. My name is Graeme Gents. I use he, they pronouns. I am a game designer and facilitator, and I love tabletop role-playing games. I've been playing them a long time, and it has led me to make my own because I love to share experiences at the table. And that's exactly what led me to make Under the Autumn Strangely, which I look forward to telling everybody all about later.
Thank you. Morningstar?
Well, hello, darlings. I don't have quite as much to say. All I could say is that I'm pretty, really. Most of you probably know me already. I'm Morningstar and I'm pretty.
And he talks too.
Megan?
I'm a graphic designer, photographer, as well as the editor for the Morningstar content. But that's about it.
Zelwyn?
Well, I'm a Zaelin. As we all know, I'm just a chaotic gremlin.
Looking lovely today. Andrea?
Yeah, I'm Andrea. I don't know who I'm playing today. That's always my first line. Hi, I'm Andrea, and I play Hollis. And now I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I'm Gavin,
Yeah.
and I'm also a developer, as is Andrea. And yeah, we're really, really excited to try this out. We're huge fans of the material that it's based on, and yeah, it is the season, as they say. Yeah, let me see if I can bring Megan's audio up just a little bit, but otherwise, I think we are probably just about ready to go.
I'll try to scooch a little closer as well.
Scooch a little closer. All right. Okay. I think, yeah, we don't have characters or anything yet, so we should probably jump right into that. Take it away, Graeme.
All right, so today we are going to be playing Under the Autumn Strangely, which is a experimental storytelling game of pastoral horror. It is full of anachronistic Americana and is set in a land that never was. The point of inspiration is over the garden wall in terms of the play space, the tone, and is kind of what led me to make the game and inspired the mechanics that I have. It's important because in these spaces that we're clearing and creating for people, that safety tools are the most important thing. And also because you kind of lead up front with, I'm going to name a bunch of bad things all in a row, which I like to do that first, even before I begin to describe everything, because it's most important, and also it's easier to create the tone that you want. So Gavin has provided this incredibly concise and well put together consent form. It's like a little menu. There's many good safety tools that exist. The X card being one, borrowed from Nordic LARPs, where if anything happens for any reason people don't like, it doesn't have to be something that makes them uncomfortable. Maybe you just don't want it there. That's okay too. You can physically do this. Everybody, show me your X card hands. Yeah. The X card is in a physical space, a card in the middle of the table. You reach out, you touch it. But it is important to note that even though there's this and the card touching, the X card, it's not free in terms of social risk. Somebody might be too uncomfortable to come out and open and say that. That's why. So where we have on our Discord, if anybody at any point feels like they need to. There's no DM in this, it's shared, but because I'm facilitating and kind of helping things, I am absolutely comfortable if somebody wants to message me privately. I could be like, you know what, we're going to X card, we're going to move something on. Whatever could be done to make the space as fine as possible. The menu is under this section of line and veils, which we have set up here in green, which is enthusiastic consent. Love enthusiastic consent. Yellow, which is like it's what we would call a veil. So maybe it's not necessarily in scene, but if it does come up, you fade quickly away, or it exists elsewhere in the world and we just don't dwell on it. So I'm gonna go down. So for enthusiastic consent, we got body horror, hooray! Icker, hooray! Animated dead skeletons, zombies, deities, hooray, hooray, hooray! I think that's all the enthusiastic consents. Great. And now we're going to talk about veils.
Just FYI, we tend to leave the greens blank, even so. Really, it's anything that's in green there we're good with, but
But I do love the reanimated undead.
yeah, that's extra fun.
As do I. I believe that all the enthusiastic consent X's are mine. So, you know,
Yeah,
letting you see behind the curtain a little bit in terms of what I'm into. Glad Morningstar likes the undead too.
yeah, we all do.
Woohoo! So let's go with veils. So veils again, off in the world, or if it does come up in scene, you fade away. That's okay. You fade to black. RPGs have come a long way. You don't have to literally play everything in scene. It's all about the health of the table and communicating. So let's go down our veils here. So flirting, okay, but keep to a minimum. So if any flirting happens between characters or the world, we just won't dwell on it. Similar to anything explicitly sexual that is consensual. We'll get to more about that later. So sex between characters, it happens, and then we fade to black and we move on. Let's see. In the last line, we have torture, another good veil, because particularly in a horror setting, some dark things may come up, but there's no reason to roleplay every detail of said torture. We understand that it's happening for a story reason. We fade away. Finally, it's the lines. These are things that will not come up for any reason. They are not referenced, are happening out in the world, and they're certainly not role-played through. And so we have a list of social and cultural issues that will not be appearing in the game. We have ableism, ageism, homophobia, racism, sexism, and transphobia. Everyone signed off. We all say, yeah, absolutely. These are auto X cards. They're just not going to come up in the game. In general, if you are X carding things and making a group, this is not something that you can disagree with. If somebody has an X card, somebody can't be like, but I want ableism in my game. Too bad. That's not the way it works. If anybody comes forward and says they don't want it, it's not happening in the game. Sexual assault, it's just not going to come up. So consensual sex, again, is a fail, so kind of a fading out. Sexual assault, not going to come up. And then finally, there is a specific phobia, which is trypophobia, which, if I know my phobias correctly, and by golly, I do, it's all the holes. It's having too many holes in something, which I'm absolutely X-carded away. Sometimes people X-card spiders.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people X-card teeth-related violence. You know, that's one that I have a lot of violence against children. Not sure if we're going to be dealing with younger characters. What if a child dies or is in danger? Luckily, every hero's okay with it. Hooray! Hey, the children are safe tonight. Fabulous.
Children are not safe tonight.
So this is something everybody's signed off on. But is there anything that anybody wishes to add, even small, or just talking about how excited we are by enthusiastic consent?
Yep. I'm enthusiastically consentful to everything else on there. Really excited. Yeah, we're big fans of magic.
Maybe less enthusiastic about dead children, but
Yeah.
the consent is still there. I'm just not looking forward to it.
Awesome. So yeah, if anybody needs to make any updates to the sheet, feel free to do that. It looks like Graham will keep it available to him during play, so but or send a message to Graham preferably. But yeah, awesome. Oh, we lost your audio, Graham. No, I think we lost your audio.
Oh dear.
Graham?
Oh, I'm talking and I'm back and I'm back.
You're
and
back.
I'm back and I'm back.
You are
Oh
back.
man, Discord, am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, I am not a GM, but I am here as well as everybody else is responsible for the safety and the health of the table. It's just a role that I'm comfortable with. The game itself doesn't have that. I like games where there's a shared role or it's gemless, and even if there is a facilitator of some kind, I like the hierarchy to be as thin as possible. In the art that I make in the theater world and other stuff, it's a lot about decentralizing power, and certainly when I design games, it's a big part of that too. So I lost my audio as well. Did anybody say anything that I should keep in mind? Or was it just like table talk?
Yep, I think it was just some table talk. You're good.
A little
yeah,
bit like
fabulous.
banter.
Love banter. That's what we're here for. All right, let's talk about Under the Autumn Strangely. Under the Autumn Strangely, as I said, is an experimental storytelling game, a gemless game of pastoral horror. You want to pop up that little triangle there, Gavin?
Absolutely.
Because I was just going to do this, and yet, it worked. So if anybody ever wants to make a triangle with their hand, that's what's going to happen. So I was inspired by Over the Garden Wall as a point of interest, but also it made me think about the number of experiences I've had around the table at various times where there's a tonal clash occurring. The GM, especially in a Gygaxian sense, who's subjecting their story upon the players, usually has a thing in mind that they want to do. And if players don't like that, oftentimes they rebel, intentionally or unintentionally. And that can cause tension, or it can be fun, unexpectedly. It really depends about the health of your table, to be honest, and how good people are communicating these things. When I watch Over the Garden Wall, I was like, my goodness, I love the horror. I love the weirdness. I love Pottsfield. I think Pottsfield is the coolest thing ever. But my close friend and the person does the art for the game was like, oh yeah, I love that show. It's so cute. And it never occurred to me that I'm like, well, yeah, of course it is. But that's just not what I thought of. And so as a result, I thought, okay, well, tonal clash is something that not only is necessary for a game, something as complex as a number of tones like that I'm trying to emulate, but in fact, we're going to procedurally create that tone. So there's 6 of us, and there's 3 roles that are here in Under the Autumn Strangely. And so as I'm starting to kind of vaguely describe things one step at a time, think about which one you want to be. We're going to break it down to 2, 2, and 2. And so people are going to be little pairs together. We're going to have a little scheming going on. This version of the game that I am teaching tonight is kind of a alpha into a beta build. So kind of everything that I have may change, because the idea is that it's going to come out in 12 months time next October, and I'm going to be printing these zines and sending them out. And I'm still messing with the structure. This is here, but literally everything else may have it. You can rotate roles in between scenes, but tonight what I'm going to do for everyone's sake is you're going to stick to your role, and that's going to be what you do even from scene to scene, because although we are kind of having it in terms of we are all co-DMing at the same time, we're creating this tone, this story in the middle, but also there are characters we're going to be playing. For ease of play, I think that we're going to stick to that. So going around from the top and then going clockwise, we have the Traveler. So the Traveler is going to represent, is the closest thing to a PC. The Traveler is going to make a character who is lost in the Never Was. The Never Was is this like imagined space, this dreamlike, phantasmagorical land of pastoral nonsense where literally everything goes. But the Traveler, I don't know if you're young, it's really up to you, is not from here. That's the only requirement for your character. And I'll go through the details. It's things like, what do you look like? What are your names? What are your pronouns? How do you see yourself? But the Traveler, your tonal duty is to be injecting the whimsy into the game. Your descriptions are focused on you as the PC. So it's going to be from your perspective. So I see this. I see this happen. But you're still in charge of a character predominantly. And the world out there might be strange or it might be dangerous. That's going to be the role of the other players. So you will have a character, you'll have that, and that'll be your perspective. So the whimsy play, you're like, if you're like my artist, the extremely talented Shenza Deladonna, you're like, you know what, I like Over the Garden Wall because it's silly. I like Greg and the Candy Trails, The Traveler is for you. There's some no buts and yes ands for now. Just know that all these roles are tied together, and that how you are able to either contradict or confirm things that happen in the game based on your role. But for now, we're just going to talk about that. Next, going around, we have the Arcadian. The Arcadian is the closest thing to a traditional GM or MC role because you're responsible for the world itself. Talking about the tonal things again, the Traveler is responsible for the whimsy. The Arcadian is going to be adding the pastoral aspect. So the rolling hills, the fall melancholy. You're also the Terror and the Arcadian can both kind of inhabit people in the world as NPCs, but it's largely up to the Arcadian to be the strange person who's there, who speaks backwards and may or may not be made out of vegetables. We don't know what their deal is. And so in the tradition of play your NPCs like stolen cars, the Arcadian is the player who's going to be part of that. If you are in love with the autumn tone, if you're ready to warm up your cider and wrap a blanket around yourself, the Arcadian is where you are. You have a supportive role to the Traveler, and you are some of the only abilities mechanically in narrative to make the terror go away. So the Arcadian and the people of the Never Was, the denizens, if you will, you're not necessarily dangerous. Sometimes in role-playing games, you think, you know what? I'm not sure if this person's quite all right. In the case of the Terror, your job is to heavily, heavily imply that they're not all right. The Terror's job is to have the discomfort. It is the pushing back of this other world. You can privately, not initially, but privately decide if you are a physical entity. You don't reveal that during the beginning of the game. But every time somebody is describing something in the world, the Traveler or the Arcadian, they lay out that description. The Terror, the basic example is the Terror then goes ... But something doesn't quite feel right about that. Your job is to push a little forward every time whenever these descriptions are going. So we got whimsy, we have the pastoral, but the duties of the Terror is to provide omens and darkness, is to make sure that the descriptions and the interactions, there's something not quite right going on here. So we're going to go 2-2-2. Is there any role that immediately stands out? I know we like witches here, if we can have a whole bunch of witches. We got witch travelers, we got witches in towns, we got some terror witches. It really is applicable to anything. Mm-hmm. Does anything jump out initially at anybody that they would like to be?
They all sound a lot of fun. I honestly don't know what to pick.
I must admit, the idea of twisting something to make it much more macabre does appeal.
Indeed. I can see it in your eyes.
I implore you not to overthink it and to go with your first instincts. So, Morningstar, would you like to be one of the 2 Terror players?
I do believe I would.
Yeah, all right. It's on board.
Morningstar, the Terror.
One of the many titles there. Yeah. I'm really interested in the Arcadian.
Great. So we have the Arcadian. We have our first Arcadian. You're going to be playing probably the most number of goofy people, but also the narrative descriptions, the tone, the feel. In terms of the meta currency, it has the most control, and it's also the one is keeping us balanced in our place and time, and just throwing out ideas like a rusted car and then a clockwork tower and a mist rolls in. This is up to the Arcadian.
put myself down for Traveler then.
All right, so we have our first Whimsy player. So in the back of your head, while people are throwing this, you're gonna build something resembling a PC. So give yourself a name, pronouns, approximate age, and then the way I have it currently written is how you see yourself and how others see you. So, and you can also intuit that as like, what do I look like versus, how do I feel on the inside?
Okay.
Gavin, do you have a choice?
I would rather everybody else pick first. I feel pretty comfortable in any of those roles.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going last, Gavin. I just got to tell you that.
In that case,
So you will have at least one choice to make.
I feel like a terror myself.
Yeah, all right. Pew, pew, pew.
What a terrible pair we will make, darling.
So Gavin and Morningstar, I encourage you to send a few DMs to each other and decide in very broad terms if you are a physical entity or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then give yourself a name and then a attribute, a single vague adjective, something like shadow, moon, blood, claws. Don't overthink it because it's supposed to inform things that happen behind the veil, as it were.
Right.
But give each other a couple DMs. This game plays 3 to 6 currently. And so the idea being it gets split up. So in these cases where there's pairs, you get to have a little bit of conspiracy that happens before the game. But then once the game starts, it's all at the table. There's no more DMing and, kind of things going on. The idea is that if you conspire too much before each scene, you get a round game. You get a kind of a boring game. And you want to be inspiring and surprising people, if not especially the other person who's creating your tone with you. So we got 2 terrors. Very excited.
We have Arcadian and a Traveler left.
Yeah. I love them both.
I understand the feeling.
Yeah, this game can be replayed at least 3 times.
Well, I mean, my preferred form would be to rotate constantly, but we're not going to put that kind of stress on everybody.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with Traveler.
All right. So same thing. You're going to be a person who's not from here. You ain't from around here. So that's a name, pronouns, approximate age, and then how you see yourself, and then how others see you. And presumably, you will have a relationship with the other traveler in some way. We'll table that for now, and maybe talk about it once both of you think you're ready with your characters.
Should I put in like the Jeopardy music here?
Do you have
No, I don't.
music? Okay. Because it's funny enough, I've been so overwhelmed doing other things. There is a plot twist. There is a musical component to this that I have had to improvise because rights for music and things. If we decide to do this some other time, I'll be better prepared. But I have a cool idea. A cool idea to improvise. All right. Oh, that's 2 travelers. So is it down to me? Everybody else is picked?
Mm-hmm.
We have 1 Arcadian, 2 travelers, 2 terrors. I'm the other Arcadian. Fabulous. Fabulous. All right. Talk about stolen car NPCs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've established what our roles are. So now, bit by bit, I'm going to peel back the mechanical pieces that are going to be tying this together. There is a structure of chapters. You can think of them as the Traveler's chapter. the Arcadians chapter, and the Terrorist chapter, or if you prefer, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. And the structure of your game is completely mutable. Once you complete a chapter, you can decide to end or you can move on. The basic idea being that, like, think about it in story structure. Think about sort of a 3-act story. Your act 1, it establishes your characters and your world. Act 2 complicates it, and Act 3 brings your characters to a head. It has them make important decisions. So that would be the Travelers chapter, the Arcadians chapter, and the Terrorist chapter. That's where these metacurrencies come in, and that's where our relationships come in. Everybody here at the table is empowered to do descriptions of the world and describe what things go on, with a few limitations that are supposed to focus you in on what you do. So, for example, the Traveler has free ability to narrate the world, but it has to be from the perspective of the PCs. So when you talk about something happening in the world, it's my character sees this happen. The Arcadian doesn't have that limitation. Again, you're more free form. You talk about these things. You're going back and forth between the denizens and the never was, but also like it's the pastoral. So just like throwing together. Also, it's rusty. You know, this is your job. Your job is to like maintain this tone. Everybody is working together for the pros. This is sort of a role playing game, but it's also kind of a short story. Think about it in the fact that we're responsible for the prose that compose the world that we're making. And then the terror very much is the final chapter. And when things are getting more grim and more specific, these are when big reveals start happening. These are when the complications have. This is when the Traveler is at the lowest point and therefore has the least agency to do things. When the terror is describing things, it's either directly from the perspective of an unseen observer or is through the lens of, again, like an Arcadian. So you can kind of go back and forth and control an NPC, but if you're controlling the world, it's absolutely like through the bushes of something or down through a darkness. Like there's an implied other character that we never get to see until you decide that we do. Because this is a shared GM thing, there's number of consent issues. So the idea that like you cannot affect a character directly who is not yours, unless that other player says that's okay. So if we're looking to kill you, say the Traveler has to be okay with it. The metacurrencies and then the no buts, yes, and is what's going to go into how you can directly change the things that are occurring. You say, no, I want to change what's happening. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. So the Traveler, when you're talking about descriptions in the world, how we're all these facilitators, we're all having these things go on. There is a structure of power or priority that goes around this little triangle here. The Traveler has the ability to know but a description that happens to the Arcadian. The Arcadian describes something in the world or something an NPC does. The Traveler can be like, no, that's not the way it is at all, and can rewrite that moment. You kind of jump back into it. The Arcadian can't do it the other way. The Arcadian cannot change what something that the Traveler has said or done. Similarly, the Terror, being that antagonistic force, a vagueness in the world, has the ability to know but can absolutely contradict something that the Traveler has said. Take away that safety. Take away something that you know has happened. We have this plot device, or we know that the door is locked. Actually, Terror takes his metacurrency, passes it over the Traveler, and is like, nope, that door swings open. You were wrong. You were wrong the whole time. The Traveler cannot. The Traveler can only confirm things that the Terror says. So that's the yes and that you see the dashed line. The Terror can't, the Traveler at any point can't be like, no, it is locked, I swear. You are very much under the control, the beck and call of what the Terror is able to do. You have this uneasy relationship with the Arcadian because the Arcadian can. The Arcadian is sort of indirectly offering hope, but the Arcadian is more or less neutral. The Arcadian is the world. It is the people. You're strange, you're undefined. Do you want to help the Travelers? Is the Terror as bad as we assume that it is? This is 100% your job to decide. You have the ability to contradict the Terror. Only you can do that. And the terror, because it is part of the world, whatever you decide that it is, the Arcadian cannot be contradicted by the terror. So again, we're looking at our little triangle here. If it helps that if I make this with my fingers, I will. We have yes and going around that way. We got no but going around that way. Does anybody have questions other than the metacurrency? I'm going to get to that in a second. Just this kind of relationship tree. Is there anything you would like me to repeat? Gavin gives you thumbs up. Lots of thumbs ups. All right. So the way this breaks down with the metacurrency is that based on what chapter you're in, you are going to have either 1, 2, or 3 little tokens. They're going to sit in front of you. I'm still messing with what I'm going to call these things. If anybody has suggestions now or in the chat, shoot it to me right now. Thinking like tension, story, plot. I want a more poetic name. I went for a while. I wanted 3 T's for all the roles, but I fell in love with the name of the Arcadian, and I was like, well, no alliteration this time. The idea being that in chapter 1, in the Traveler's chapter, you're going to start with 3. The Arcadian starts with 2, and the Terror starts with 1. Every time you contradict somebody, you're going to take one of your metacurrency pieces, you're going to pass it across the table, or in this case, through cyberspace. And that becomes part of their ability, that ability to contradict others. So chapter 1, it's 3, 2, and 1 with the Traveler, Arcadian, and the Terror. For the Arcadians chapter, that's chapter 2, everybody starts at 2. And for chapter 3, the Terror's chapter, we have 3 for the Terror, 2 for the Arcadian, and only 1 for the Traveler. Each chapter starts with a question being asked. Try to avoid yes or no questions, but that's okay. In the Traveler's chapter, is asked by the Traveler. In the Arcadian's chapter, is asked by the Arcadian. In the Terror's chapter, is asked by the Terror. And it's something like, will we find how to get home? What is the secret of the Crimson Silo? When you're asking your question, nothing has to be established already. In fact, I encourage you to say something nobody has ever heard before. One of the ways that a chapter can end is that question being answered. We don't have to see it happen. It doesn't have to happen in game. But the moment somebody is like, you know what, I think we've answered that question. I think we know why the mayor betrayed his brother. And we're like, that's right. I think we figured it out. If the question is answered, if one role, again, it's like messy with there being 6 of us, but we're going to say like of all the 2 roles, possess every token, and a player calls for an end. If all of these are true, that's the end of the chapter. So it's like a checkmark thing. We have to answer the question, and or if the tokens are there. But if both those are true and everyone wants to keep going, you can. It doesn't end until somebody's like, I think we're good. I love the pacing. Again, it's just like instinct. This is supposed to be collaborative, and you're supposed to be communicative. So the idea that these are tools for your table to be able to tell their story. Are there any initial questions about those pieces?
I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah, good.
None at all.
So I have this in my text, but the idea is like broad strokes. What you're doing with these chapter structures is that you're creating your story. So a simple 1, 2, 3, that makes sense. But what if you do 1, 2, 3, 1? How is that different? How do you start? How do you end on this lighter tone? What if you go back and forth for a while between 1 and 2 and then end on a 3? What if you zoom right through and then you immediately just have like all of these like really dark stories? This is what empowers you to have your pacing with scenes and structures. You can think about it in any kind of metaphor you want. These are chapters. These are episodes. This is a saga. It's a saga of what's happening to these characters. So in between each chapter, There's kind of a check-in. How's everybody doing? Does anyone have to go pick up or put any kids to bed? You know, there's all these new concerns all of a sudden. That being where you are. So in between each chapter, we have kind of like a check-in. How's everybody feeling? I also have some procedures, which again are still going. So like, do you randomly decide what the next chapter is? Right now I have like everyone chooses. So, okay, we choose, and then next chapter you get to choose. You could also do it at random. These are things that that are kind of up for debate right now. The last kind of thing that I have is the idea of like a unanimous veto, because you have this idea, the principle of narrative truth. Everything that anyone says is equally true, except powered by your ability to contradict other players. So there's a small problem of what if a player says, well, I blow up the world. We're all adults. We're here to do that. So of course, like you're, that's going to be part of it. But of course, like, why are you doing that? We're here in our free time. There is a system. If there is a unanimous veto, if we decide, if every other player says no, woo, that's a free contradiction. It's out of the game. I don't expect that to be a problem, but it's the idea of things happening. This is also a tool for like tone. You know, maybe you don't want guns. That's fine. Then we're like, no guns. They're out. You know, the idea that it's anachronistic means that we can have cars and planes, and the idea that we have no idea what time period this is supposed to be is supposed to add to the strangeness, add to the weirdness. So you are free to narrate that, and that freedom kind of means that people have different ideas about where they want to come in, and that's kind of the melange of the tone we're going with. Everybody good? Nice. Everybody good with all the stuff I'm saying? Because I'm about to start asking about some characters.
Yes, we have done the requisite amount of twiddling our fingers.
Ooh, yes. All right, so you're not going to tell us anything. So the fun thing about the terror is the terror doesn't have to tell us anything, and that stuff gets revealed through your descriptions, and then not until there is a terrorist chapter, you then have the ability to start just directly describing an entity if you decide to be there. Maybe there is no entity. Totally up to you. But not until the terrorist chapter are you able to then speak and act as that character directly. All right, let's meet our travelers. Our travelers are, according to my notes, it's Megan and Andrea. Hooray! Hooray! Megan and Andrea, have you prepared your lost souls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Megan, can you tell me, or tell everybody, and those of you at home, those 7 followers still waiting to happen. You know you want to. Come on, it's October. Come in. Megan, can you tell us about your traveler?
Okay, my traveler is Terry Berry. He's 70 years young.
Whoa!
Nice.
And his wife's either passed or missing. He has no idea where his wife is.
Amazing. Is that
He's
him?
gonna be wrapped up. Yes, him. So he's gonna be thinking he's a spry young buck of 70, but everyone else is gonna see this frail old man. And I'm gonna have him set up in a set of overalls and just a nice little oversized blanket tied around him like a shawl. He's old. He doesn't have meat on his bones. He needs to stay warm.
Amazing.
That is so hilarious because the character that I built is Grandma, and she's 78. And
Oh, wow.
We did it, everybody! See, this is why you don't conspire. This is exactly why you don't.
I think Terry Berry might just have Alzheimer's then. This is his life.
My wife is dead! Terry, I'm here. I've been here the whole time, Terry.
He can't hear
I'm ghost.
Ah! So what is Grandma's name? Is it Grandma? Is that the character's name?
Her name is Grandma. That's what she's gonna go by.
And because of the number of different ways and pronunciations of said name, or is it Grandma? Is it Grandma? Is it Grandma?
Grandma. MMA.
Grandma.
Great, Grandma. See, again, very important. All right, tell us about Grandma.
She is a sweet old Southern lady who wants to reconnect with the feels that she had when she was younger. She wears a long black floral dress with a red floral headkerchief.
Awesome. So, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are y'all married? Or do you not know each other?
You want to be married? You want to marry me?
You want to marry
Maybe
me?
that's a part 3 story arc.
Ooh.
We can be married if you want. Yeah, unless we think it'll be something fun later.
Yeah, like are you total? My only question is, are you total strangers, or are you like people that met somewhere and got lost together, or are you a married couple?
We could have both been in the park feeding pigeons, and we got lost.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I love that. I love the pigeons. I love getting lost. Yeah. How well do your characters know each other?
I would say that Grandma probably is there every week feeding the pigeons. So if your character wants to be there every week, Terry Berry, then we could know each other relatively well.
Yeah, how about you know about my dead wife?
Okay.
So I don't come to the park as often, but now I'm getting out with you because I'm miserable at my
Yep.
Not so whimsical, but
Yeah.
pigeons are whimsical.
Well, we got a whimsical old couple. So Terry Berry, did I hear you say that like you get out more now that the wife is dead? You're what did you say?
Said I think he's forcing himself to go out and have these park meetings because he's got nothing going on at home.
I got you.
No wife has to take up hobbies.
Feeding
Absolutely.
pigeons.
Awesome.
And who knows? Maybe he's got a little thing for Grandma.
No flirting.
Minor flirting.
Fade out. No, it's appropriate. You just have to flirt, and then we like stare into your character's eyes, and then we fade to black.
Just give him a heart attack right there, and just like, nope, not gonna happen.
Zoom in on the
That's
eyes
our
close
job.
enough that you can see the stars, and then
Not while Sherry Berry was still alive. I miss Sherry so much. All right. Yeah, everything else is under the hat. And so with consensus, I think like a pretty simple 1, 2, 3 is probably gonna do us pretty well. So there are rules for starting. So since we are at doing chapter 1, we're going to start on a Travelers chapter. Travelers, go ahead and give yourself 3 tokens of. I don't want it to be plot. It's so it's so lame. Give yourself 3 plots. The Arcadian, that's us. We get 2. And you terrors. You get 1 each.
sounds good.
Beauteous. So basic structure being that anytime within the structure, so the terror can contradict the traveler, the Arcadian can contradict the terror, and the traveler can contradict the Arcadian. You do so by passing your token to that player. With the 2 players, it's a little complicated. I guess I'll figure out if it's a shared pool or not, because I don't know yet. So exciting. So at this point, you'll pick somebody and you'll hand it over to them, and we'll go woo, and you'll put it into. Oh man, you'll put it into your pile there. So music, plot twist. Music has an important role, and Under the Autumn Strangely. For anybody who was on the Kickstarter page, you saw they made a giant playlist of music. Partially because I do this in all of my games. I love using music intentionally. When I run home games, I'll DJ with one hand. I'll be changing for scene to scene. And also because the Over the Garden Wall, y'all, it's full of music.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a musical. Because of the Americana, the strangeness that it is inspired by, so much of the culture, the folk, the country, the blues, gospel, these ideas that are endemic music are also inspirational to the art and tone and theme of Over the Garden Wall. So it seemed pretty good and obvious. So here we actually have rules. The idea is that at home, you at home when you play under the Autumn Strangely in the safety of your own abodes, depending on what chapter it is, there's going to be an opening narration based on who you are, based on what the chapter is, and you're going to play a song. But I had a short list of public domain free music that I was going to send to Gavin, but it didn't happen. So instead, the opening of each of these chapters, because there's two of us, somebody is going to provide that kind of opening narration. And the other player is going to spend about 20 seconds describing the emotional tone of a piece of music that we can all now imagine in our heads. So like, oh, it's a quartet and it's strings and it's folk. And, oh, there's a raspy blues voice. Like, we're going to imagine that. So somebody of the pair going to describe the song and they're going to be like, wow, that sounds really good.
Beautiful.
And then the other person is going to then narrate, kind of an opening, kind of set you where you are. If so, in a Traveler's chapter, the Arcadians are going to be the ones that start you out. The Arcadian is going to be narrating and setting us in a place and time. It's both physical and talking about what's going on, giving that tone. If it's an Arcadian chapter, it's going to be the opening narration is going to be done by the Traveler, and the Traveler is going to be in a first-person perspective, talk about like, man, there's been some really crazy stuff. I don't know what's going on here. And then if it's a Terror chapter, by golly, you're going to be narration by the Terror. And the Terror can decide either or. You can have a combination of first-person or third-person descriptions of the world, again, keeping in mind where you are. All of these things are establishing place and time. So where are we? What are we doing in terms of the... and then the question gets asked. So because we're starting in a Traveler chapter, my fine Arcadian, would you like to give an opening description, or would you like to describe a fictitious piece of music to all put us in the mood?
Think an opening description might suit me better. Although I did have a little piece of music I had thought of in the back of my head, but I have a way stronger visual description in my head.
Excellent. All right. So in each, so the Traveler's chapter, a question is asked by the Traveler, the Arcadian is asked by the Arcadian, the Terror is asked by the Terror. So is everybody ready, and are you at home ready to play Under the Autumn Strangely? Everybody ready to go? Let's do this thing.
Yes,
Jazz
let's
hands.
do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Terror
So
jazz hands.
imagine, if you will, a rusty acoustic guitar slowly plucking away, and then a low baritone crone. Words about remembering where you're from and not being able to find the person you love. And it repeats this too. It's a call and response blues until eventually the guitar slowly fades away.
And as it fades away, it opens up into a courtyard that is pretty dark. We're basically under a autumn moon, a harvest moon, and in the courtyard at the very far end there's what looks like a rundown cathedral almost. Like it might have had a really good heyday, but at the moment it is pretty beat down, and behind it is a cornfield with some odd rustlings and movings.
All right, Travelers, you get to ask a question, and this is a question that you either want answered or you would like to inject into the story. This is doing double work. You are both characters in the story, but you're also writers. You're writing this story. So this is your opportunity to kind of create a moment that you want to discover from the perspective of your characters. I don't know how to do this because there's two people. So I'm just going to ask you to trust each other and come up with something and not be like, I had something and fight about it. Or, we can fight. It's fine.
Are either of you
We're
holding on
both
to any
old.
gems?
Should it be something to be like lust of life or?
Yeah, and it can be specific, or it can be personal, or it can be world building. It can be yes or no. It doesn't have to be a leading question. Those are just always my default. I like establishing world through the question and then having other people answer it, even though I don't know the answer. If it's too much, okay, go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe something along the lines of, can Grandma and Terry Berry find or recapture their innocence of youth in their old age?
Perfect. Absolutely. Can they? So this is a yes or no. And at any point, out of character, a player can kind of come forth and be like, I think they can, or I don't think they can, and kind of offer that. And with unanimous consent, that's one of our tick marks. Is our question answered within this chapter? The other is keeping in mind of like, if you don't have any tokens, if you've really burned through all your tokens, that's also something to keep track of. And then when those things are gone and somebody says, I think we're ready, I think we should fade to black and move on to the next chapter. We're good to go. So, in summary, can Terry Berry and Grandma recapture their lust for youth? What was the exact?
They're like the innocence of youth in their old age.
Ooh, that's even more interesting. Can they recapture the innocence of youth? Fabulous. All right, there's a lot of implications there. I like it a lot. Yeah, we're good to go. Anybody can narrate, and anybody can yes and, unless you start to want to contradict. So the Arcadians can invent characters. The terror is also able to like adjust these things and suggest there, but largely we're focusing in on Terry Berry and Grandma. So we have a cathedral, we have a cornfield, and we have an autumn moon, if I remember correctly. Is that what we got?
Yes, a big harvest moon lighting everything. There's no other lights besides that moon.
Incredible. All right, so it's pitch black. It's pitch black, and a wind is blowing through the cornfield, and off in the distance is the quiet tinkling of bells and the sound of music. And Grandma and Terry Berry can barely see through the dim because it's this tiniest little sliver of light. It's the only thing that they are allowed to see through the cornfield and out in the. I think the cathedral is crumbling. It's a crumbling cathedral.
Well, Grandpa, I know that your eyesight isn't exactly as good as it used to be, but can you see that light?
Really? You gotta speak up, love. Sure, I've got no support in these moccasins.
Do you see the light?
Oh, yeah, you don't have to speak so loud.
A very narrow band of active hearing.
Okay, you're already getting the whimsy going on. I forgot to mention there's the X card, but I invented its counter, which is the O card. It's part of enthusiastic consent. So O card, I O card you. I love. Oh no, too loud. O-card. It's another way I like encouraging people without interrupting. So I'm probably going to do a lot of this.
Don't make it look too much like a triangle.
I know. It already screwed me up, Gavin. I know.
Strong shape either way.
Do you suppose we go that way? Do we go home? Where is home?
You know, I don't think I'm quite ready to go home just yet. If you would accompany me to, I guess we have to go through the cornfield to find the light. It could be like an adventure.
We can't hear anything from you, Megan, for some reason.
Oh, yeah. I was just quoting The Hobbit.
Oh.
Ready for another adventure.
Sure.
Oh, J.R.R.
I'll just
Tolkien.
step here. Do you suppose there'll be any critters we gotta worry about?
Something swoops down from the air, and it almost hits your head, Grandma.
Oh, probably just the crows in the cornfield.
There's a sound of sticks off in the distance, clacking around as the crow swoops down. And it is towards the light. And the music and bells.
Grandma stands up and she puts out her elbow for you to take her elbow
Nice.
so that we can go.
O-card. Or heart.
Perks him up a little
That's
bit.
an apple. No, you're
Terry Berry takes Grandma's elbow with a little bit of vim and vigor, excited with the adventure, and attempts to shuffle, I guess, as best as he can to keep up with Grandma.
Grandma,
The sticky, the sticky sounds get a little closer, and there is a slight humanoid figure where the sticky sounds are.
What does the figure look like, Terror players?
I think it leans forward and you see a straw hat. And
Just a scarecrow, Grandma.
probably.
There's a gust of wind, and as the two of you go past the figure, it rips off of a great stalk that is holding it there, and it seems to envelop you for a moment before the wind catches it, and a straw hat smacks you right in the face, Terry Berry.
Scarecrow, not a scarecrow.
Grandma has a flashlight in her purse and she pulls it out to try to get a better look at what that was.
Terry Berry is gonna be fisticuffing the hat. It's like,
So this is a great moment. This is a great moment because you pull out the light and you look at it. And so literally anybody could jump in. The Arcadians players could describe, the Terror players could describe it being like kind of awful. And even you as the travelers, you don't have to be like, GM, what do you see?" You have the power to be like, and I see this. And you can explain and narrate the thing that you see through the perspective of your character.
okay, that's cool.
The crows just keep swooping down, almost in a way that's warning you and chiding you away from this area towards more, again, back of the cornfield, and there again the light is still shining back there, just beckoning you, and the crows they're like, no, get away, just go this way. And you have a feeling that they really, and you hear them cackling between each other too, they really enjoy trying to get you away from this.
One of the crow. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't have any seed because we've been feeding pigeons, so I'm just
Oh,
like,
that's
I don't have
funny.
any left.
That's really funny. Amongst the crows is one that is almost half the size of the others. It has a streak of silver down its back, and it lands right at your feet, and it hops again, and it starts to peck at your left foot, Grandma.
Thank you,
What
friend.
what can I do for you, little crow? What is it that you want? As she's shooing him off with her foot that he's pecking on.
Hey, watch the feathers.
I mean, I know crows can talk a little bit, but dang.
Crows can talk a little bit.
I'm gonna point my flashlight directly into the crow's eyes.
Ah!
I'm gonna point at Grandma and be like, "Oh, he sure got you. You sound exactly like that."
Oh, man.
You should respect your elders, crow.
Nice.
Yeah, how old do you think I am?
Not as old as me.
The crow starts to peck at your other foot.
I'm gonna just shoot him with the other foot.
Ooh, yes, Gavin.
And this time he draws a little blood.
Oh, that's not nice.
The crows in the air are starting to make shapes, and you look closer to see, and there's just, it's almost like Pictionary. They're trying to make arrows and goad you, and they make like a big smiley face, like we're friendly, and they're trying to goad you to go a certain way, and the arrow is again pointing at the light. And off in the distance, it looks slightly like firelight.
Look, Grandma,
Bye.
like sky emojis.
Sky emojis.
And you hear voices coming from that direction, but they're far too far or far too quiet to make out.
Coming from
All right,
the
Grandpa,
direction
let's
of
get on our
the
way.
stairs. We best be getting out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna swat at the one crow. I'll kind of
Hey!
sway him out of the way with like my cane. Back, out of the way. He's been rude to Grandma.
The other
as the two of
Oh, I was gonna
Go,
say the
go.
other crows in the air are just cackling at this because this little silver crow he's just a character all the time, and they just think it's quite funny that he's getting a hard time. But they start making a finger shape like it's beckoning now, like now more urgently.
Oh man. Yeah. That clear enough for you? As Terry Berry and Grandma are shuffling through the mud and the fallen leaves that have, probably were once bright yellows and oranges have now turned completely brown as they've sunken into the mud at this old cornfield. The silverbacked crow is hopping after the two of you. Oh, yeah. Ho, we're getting settled now, aren't we?
All right, Groucho. We're moving.
You do notice that some of the crows have a bunch of bells, and that's where the bell sound is coming from in their beaks. And they're carrying the bells and jingling them. They like really want to be like heard and known. And as it jingles, it starts to make a slight musical sound, almost like somebody playing the bells in an orchestra, and it is making a slight nostalgic melody that Grandma recognizes and cannot help but be intrigued. And as they go, they you watch out for cowpats too, by the way.
Could I throw a no butt on that?
Yeah, you cannot
Okay.
contradict the Arcadian.
Okay.
But you can contradict the Traveler. So if there are details of the things that the Traveler establishes, you can. You can, yes, and so it was a song of a nostalgic like there was something in memory.
Yeah.
So you can add on to that. Okay, you remember that song, and
Yeah.
it's actually an awful memory. So you can't contradict, but
Okay.
you can add on to it. Does that make sense?
Yes, and Grandma remembers that song from a recent funeral.
Oh no.
That funeral was Sherry Berry's funeral.
Oh,
Oh,
Such-
Sherry.
such.
What sweet Sherry.
Oh my goodness.
As you weep, you hear a voice behind you that's like, "Hey, no, don't cry, don't cry. It's okay, I'm here." And you turn around, and it's just a pink cow, and it has a big cowbell on it, and it is just trudging towards you like, "It's okay, we're here to help." And it again is goading you towards the fire as well. It's like, them crows don't mean to make you cry like that. There's no mean for that.
The silverback crow lands on top of the head of the cow, and it's like, I wouldn't bother. They're not so smart.
Well, just because you might be lacking a little bit in the smarts department doesn't mean they are. I mean, it's a whole group of them. It's okay. You guys can follow them. It's fine.
Oof.
You can trust old Bessie. It's fine.
You
See,
can't
I
trust
do
all
that
Bessie.
because the crow's a bird brain. Let's just follow the cow. Cow knows what's up. I like the cow.
I like the cow.
And the cow does start trudging, and you hear more of the bells as the crows just get really excited as you're trudging through, and the cow starts singing a little melody that goes along with the bells, just to help comfort you as you go. And she's like, "Well, now watch out over there. That's my favorite cow pat spot. I don't want you to get your little shoesies dirty right now. But so we're kind of gonna detour around there, and as you detour around there, you see a pile of sticks and another straw hat on the pile of sticks.
I have an aversion to straw hats right now.
The straw hat is shaking.
That's pretty good.
I'm gonna walk over and pick up the hat.
Oh no! But she screams, and it's a little tiny mouse, and it is terrified is what has been going on. And so yet again, we have a whole train of animals now.
Oh yeah.
They are terrified of the stick sounds. She's like, "Oh no, you found me! Oh, thank God, thank God!"
Aha! Dinner! And the crow swoops down to swallow the mouse, and the mouse tears off into the cornfield.
Oh no.
Make sure you watch out for them sticks.
Where's this fire at? We need to get to this fire. I am not down with all these talking animals. They don't do that where I come from.
Oh, it's okay.
Very
Bessie says it's just the Alzheimer's setting in.
Didn't have my pills this morning.
When you look to find the fire, you notice that you haven't actually gotten any closer to it.
Ooh, very good. Heart slash circle.
Grandpa, I know. Grandpa, sorry. Very, very, I know we're
Sorry, old habits.
We need to speed up.
Here, I'll boost you up on the cow.
Yeah. I'm gonna climb up on the cow for sure. Grandma's gonna get on that cow and she's gonna ride the cow. And
Well, now I'm not a horse, but in an effort to get you away from the sticks, you're gonna get this one.
The crow comes back. Ah, got away. But I don't know what to tell you. This is the sticks. So who's on in the principle of narrative truth? Who's on the cow?
Grandma.
Grandma's on the cow.
Okay, Grandma's on the cow.
And I
Um,
think the cow's got a bell that Zelwyn mentioned, so I think
sure.
Terryberry will hang on to that so he can keep up. But maybe jingle the bell as he's walking.
Yeah, and
So, yeah, go.
I was gonna say the cow is just trudging you towards this light now, and the music is getting louder, but there is a louder sound of like sticks banging against each other and coming up on you as well. And the corn around you is rustling in a circular motion now, trying to keep you from going to where the cow is going.
Zelwyn's doing most of our job for us.
Yeah. Nicely work.
I'm taking
Terrifying.
notes. I'm taking notes.
Definitive of a brain. I think that's the problem.
It's all. I mean, it's a shared role. Everybody's responsible for driving to the center, which is telling a good story.
Yeah.
So as
Just delightfully spooky, darling. You can't help it.
Yeah, those sticks banging together are pretty loud, and you can see what look like large humanoid figures in the distance behind you. You don't quite recognize the sound, but you have a sense of dread that comes over you as you see the figures in the distance.
And they're behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Should have listened. We made a finger and everything.
I think we need to use all these getaway sticks of our own and get away. Those are legs.
I don't think they understand getaway sticks. They're too stupid to understand getaway sticks.
Oh, it's okay. They're legs, hon. It's okay.
Fine. You speed up a little, and the bell is like clattering to give a sense of that speed, and the music is getting louder, and the clacking of the sticks is getting louder. But as you stare over the corn, you can see in the distance that broken down rotting cathedral. It looks exactly the same distance away.
Also, when you look behind you, the figures look exactly the same distance away.
Ooh.
I'm gonna die here.
Yeah, probably.
As you look towards that rundown cathedral, you do see like these black figures kind of dancing in a circle. And they're coming around from the side, and they're dancing in a circle, and they seem to be the ones singing the melody of the song.
It's familiar. It's the same exact melody that played at Sherry's funeral, but the words are all wrong. The chorus comes in, and then a new verse that you've never heard before. One that talks about remembering what it was to be young again and still feeling like you wanted to die.
I'm gonna kick this cow to make it go faster.
Does it?
Cool.
Does the cow go faster?
That's what I was.
The cow.
I was
Now you
thinking
can't
this
just
would
kick me like a horse either.
I was thinking that would be a good
I
time.
told you they dumb.
I was thinking now would be a good time for a no butt.
Yes, do it. Yes, you can absolutely no but a traveler.
All
So what happens? How do you X? So I'm working on an activation phrase. I'm not sure what to do exactly. It's something along the lines of something like "but alas, it was not to pass," or
Nice.
so something like less. But actually,
Yeah.
But with like. So I want you to say something like meaningful and poetic.
God.
Turn on your DM sense, you know, and be like, it was not yet to pass because, and then pass that thing over, and tell us how you're Xing what they've done.
Yeah. So, Grandma was trying to get the cow to hurry up, and but. Yeah, but that would
You
not
could knock
happen.
Terryberry over.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was going to hand this to, I guess it'll be worse for Andrea. So I'll hand
Okay.
you that.
Oh,
Doo-doo.
okay. Thanks.
The cow responds much more aggressively than you expected and romps you off into the cornfield,
Ooh.
knocking over Terry Berry into the mud.
Bessie, right? Was that her name?
Yes, Bessie.
Bessie tears off into the night and is gone. And all is left is the silver-backed crow, who's cackling and cawing. And so they come crawling back to old Norman. Old Norman's got the truth at last. Shouldn't have kicked that cow. You know what they say? You kick a cow, you let kicking cows lie. That's what we say around here, anyways.
Say about kicking birds.
Oh, that's for free.
One of the suit men, what I'm calling soot men, the shadowy men.
Yes.
They seem to be made of soot. They one of the soot men opens the circle and kind of beckons you all to join into the circle and dance with them. They don't really speak, but it's a very friendly, like, get over here.
Grandma's very tempted. Dancing with some people seems better than trying to get to the fire that they can't seem to get to.
Harry Berry, I think, after hearing this macabre version of his dead wife's funeral march, essentially, is gonna kind of be transfixed and like try to move forward and like grabbing onto Grandma's hand if she'll let him, and just kind of tugging her forward, like moving towards like where the music's coming from. Not really making any kind of conversation, just like transfixed and just trying to get there.
But when he reaches out to take Grandma's hand, he notices that the hand he takes seems to be falling apart, turning into a withered skeleton, but just for a second, before his mind clarifies.
Goodness, Grandma. You have to moisturize.
I'll use that as well for that.
Can't hear you, Graham. So, Megan, you get a token.
Oh, I get a token.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, both of the terrors don't have any tokens remaining.
Great.
But
So,
All right.
the Arcadians do.
Sorry,
So.
can I get a quick refresher of how the travelers can influence?
yes. So the travelers can know but the Arcadians. So because we're the world and you're struggling. So the idea being, to draw back the curtain a little bit, the idea being is that the Arcadians are establishing this strange world that you're in. This is not where you're from. So we're throwing these details at you. We're building stuff, and you're trying to get your placement. So if anything, you want to be like, no, that's not actually what's true. I think I do understand. And so the idea is that your struggle with the Arcadian is trying to get just like a little piece of familiarity. So you can use the token, you can pass one of your tokens over to the Arcadian to establish a moment of narrative truth. So it was very good. So what Gavin as the Terror was like, no, actually you're not helpful. These moments are really powerful. I should probably write that you can't no but. It's supposed to it's supposed to be a shift. It's like a big shift in this moment where like we all like lean in closer to the fire that we're all listening to, and we're like, oh no, I didn't realize that was happening. And then that becomes kind of the jumping off point of like where we go. So we've established that you hallucinated. Very good.
Just for a second, thought her hand
just for a second,
apart.
just for a brief moment of body horror. Check. And on the undead, check. So your tokens, you can pass your tokens over to us at the Arcadians. If we say something about the world that you're like, that's not true, I know what's true, and through the perspective of your character again, like I see this, I witnessed this. Like you have the same narrative power as literally everybody at the table. It's just through the kind of the like over the shoulder perspective of your character, if that makes sense. So we have a hallucination. Did somebody? I had something. I could reestablish this, bring us back in. So you were thinking about the dirge, right? Is that where we were?
And trying to head toward the Sootmen.
Yeah, perfect. So what happens? The light of the moon, the moon has been slowly decreasing over time. It was almost half, and within the space of minutes, it's shrunk over time into a crescent. And at a point where the crescent is just this tiniest sliver, it pops out, and now there is no moon in the sky. The circling and the music, this lost verse of Sherry's funeral song is repeating over and over again, the words becoming increasingly less familiar. And you can see there's a ring of people. They cast no shadows. They're linking arms, and they're circling you. There's like a vague dozen, probably more, and they're all holding hands and they're all singing. And they're all spinning around you in a circle, and that circle is slowly closing in on you. And the crows, at this point, have returned, and they're jingling the bells, all held in their beaks, except for Norman. Norman's there at the center with you, like kind of under your legs. He's like underfoot, and he's like hopping back and forth, being like as the song comes closer, as the Sootmen continue their dance.
Yes, and you see the drop of blood coagulating on his beak.
He slurps it up. Oh, sorry. Oh, excuse me.
So the crows who had been beckoning Grandma and Terry to go towards the fire swoop through the circle and not really distract, but cause a ruckus to break the concentration of Grandmother and Grandma and Terry, so that they again start walking towards the fire. And what seems like they've been walking for a very long time and not getting any closer, as soon as the crows break the circle, we're at the fire.
That sounded like you noped out of the Arcadians' circle.
It was that? Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So you wanna?
You can. This is your power. So you establish that you see the crows distract, and you move on. Like you can absolutely do that.
Okay. Do I need to give you a token for that one?
Did you X my thing?
I don't.
They were being closed in on by the circle, and they're noping out of the circle.
So there is no circle. The idea of the no but is they're like, that's not what happened at all. I know what happened.
Gotcha.
I just broke the circle.
Okay.
Not that there was never any circle, just that it is broken now.
As the circle breaks, you start to hear little giggling closer to ground level, but not quite, super like animal height. And out of the shadow, you do see little children-sized beings with burlap sack heads, like they made a quick, like almost a Halloween mask real quick out of burlap sacks, and they're just giggling and pointing as you're going because they think this whole ruckus is quite hilarious, and you see them whisper to each other and start dancing as well.
Oh, trick-or-treaters. I love trick-or-treaters. She starts rummaging through her purse to find, the candy at the bottom of the bag, the grandma candies that nobody wants, and starts trying to offer them to the children in Halloween costumes.
Well, the children see the candy, and instantly their heads, they look all at you at once and start the candy.
The soot kinder come upon you, and they're all giggling, and they're all whispering, and you can't make out what they're saying. And as you offer them candy, one by one, this just like hands come out. They're grabbing until at a moment, all of your candy is gone, and you have all of these little sooty heads, probably no more than a foot or two high, all there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's all I've got.
And then one of them grabs your purse.
Yes.
Aw.
Like there could be tricks or treats in here.
Well, she doesn't really have the strength to hold on to it really well, so if they're trying to take it from her, they've got it.
Yeah, they spin you right
You
around.
You can't contradict the terror. Anything the terror says, the traveler can't directly contradict.
Yeah. Yeah, they spin you around and you lose your balance, but you don't fall, but you do lose the grip on your purse.
The one that
Terryberry
the
helps
purse
her
is
up
holding it
and-
above its head and dancing. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Megan?
Oh, I was just saying that Terryberry's gonna feel bad and give Grandma a small.
Roll to feel bad. Oh, you succeed. You feel bad.
Feel bad. Feels
Feels
bad,
bad,
man.
man. The like so the one of the soot children is the one that took the purse is carrying it above its head and just like running with it like it won a prize, and all the other kids are trying to chase it down. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that the giggling is now escalating to a point to where it's a little unnerving that they just keep giggling so much.
I love you just keep handing the terror freebies. It's
Oh,
really
well.
good. They're like we agree absolutely.
Yes.
It's you hate it. You're not into it at all. Very
Children are
good.
terrifying.
But
Yeah. Yes. Well spake.
I don't really need to say anything else. It's
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yes,
over the
indeed, it's
top.
quite terrifying. I yes and you all the way.
Yes, and you even hear the sound of the sticks banging together off in the
Oh,
extreme
those-
distance. Those
those
they're
sticks.
still
God, I
following
forgot.
You.
Thank you. I
The
forgot about the
children do
sticks.
not like this and drop the bag and go, "We're sorry," and run away.
Mm.
While they're
One of them
away-
stays. The one who was holding the bag above their head is shivering and shaking. And you can see within the depths of its sooty shaped maw two little shimmering moons where the eyes should be. They look at you. Older people. Terry and Grandma.
Grandma
They look
walks.
for comfort. They look at you, begging for comfort and safety.
Grandma goes and takes her purse back and says to the little guy that Christmas is coming up next, and stealing from elderly ladies will definitely get you on the naughty list.
What's
puts
the
her purse-
naughty list?
Mm.
The
Here's them
suit
sweet.
kinder gets uncomfortably close, less than an inch away from you, and is staring up at your head. And the two little moon eyes. What's the naughty list?
You don't know who Santa Claus is? Santa Claus brings presents to all the good boys and girls. And if you get on the naughty list, you don't get any presents.
Presents?
Gifts. Toys.
Points at the purse.
No. No.
Reaches for the purse.
No. Smacks
Tries
his
to
hand.
hand goes down.
Oh, bless your heart.
Can I
You don't
have
have
a
no
present?
presents.
Can I have
Tell
a
you what,
present?
Sonny Jim. If you get us out of here, we'll get you on that good list. We know. I know, guy.
Call in a favor.
We're calling a favor.
I know a
Me and
guy.
Saint Nick are old buds.
He'll put a horse head in Santa's bed for you.
So for the sake of pacing, I should explicitly say the idea of the question is that we're all trying to answer it. I didn't explicitly say that. I'm going to write it down in my notes here. This is very, very helpful to me. So at this point, do we feel like we've answered, or do we feel like we could answer it so that we can like do a little breaksy, and then like play a quick scene, and then call it good there? Because we've established we've the Terror don't have any more tokens, which is one of our one of our requirements. So we're looking to figure out, like, can they recapture their innocence? Is there a way? Again, we all have this narrative ability, so we can kind of be like, this is a moment. This is largely the purview of the traveler characters. Again, like, we can describe the world, and if you make offers, like, there's kind of this level of, like, they have to say yes to what you're saying. You can't tell them exactly what, their characters do or say, for example. But since we're trying to discover, do they discover their innocence? Do we think that we know the answer right now? And if not, how do we get there?
An idea. I don't believe we have the answer yet, but I would like, if it's all right, Terry
Go for
Berry
it.
to take the sootkin on his shoulders to be like, show us where to go, like to kind of get the
There you go.
engaging with the characters.
Perfect. Yes, I would absolutely say that is you. The answer for can Terry Berry and Grandma rediscover? I'm trying to remember the verb.
Yeah.
Rediscover their innocence. I think the answer is yes. I think that when the Sootkinder goes up on the shoulders, the eyes shine with the light of the moon, and that moon comes out again on the other side. It slowly shifted, disappeared, and now the crescent is beginning to pop out on the other end and beginning to grow. And the light from the eyes illuminate like a great lighthouse, and you can hear the shifting sounds of waves of an ocean. And we have your characters walk off into the cornfield. We have the Sootkinder on your shoulders and swooping behind you in the air, following behind the silverbacked crow.
Awesome.
Does that sound like an end of a chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Appropriate to me.
Excellent. So Gavin,
Yeah.
should we do a 5 or 10
I'm
and
thinking
then come back?
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back for chapter 2 in just a few moments. welcome back to our one-shot special of Under the Autumn Strangely. I decided to
Gavin's ready to go!
become the terror. Nobody else saw this until we went live, except Andrea. So, yeah, figured I would embody the terror that I am. So, yeah.
Morningstar, you gotta step it up. You gotta...
I'm just terrifyingly beautiful.
Yes.
That's all I know.
So
And also, I left my horns in the other room.
They're in my other pack.
we get more.
Fade on flirting.
We get more horns as the terror gets more powerful.
Oh my god, that's really good.
We had an idea that when a person wants to interject, to maybe put up a finger so we can all see, and that way everybody knows. But yeah, awesome. I think we're ready to get back in and jump to chapter 2, if Graham's ready.
Yeah. So here's my thought. I would love a debrief afterwards. Just like people talk about where they were at and what they were feeling. Literally anything. Just like a little chat. Nothing longer than 20 minutes basically. So I was imagining initially this would be like a 3-act structure. At this point, I think that one good more chapter and then a debrief I think would be really good. So we started on chapter 1, on a traveler's chapter. And so I guess I'm gonna just ask the group, do we want to do an Arcadians chapter or a Terrors chapter?
Honestly, a Terrors chapter would be fantastic.
No, we lost you. You turned into a robot.
I'm going to assume you said terror, based on your narration.
Yeah, I think your internet's dying.
Amusingly, I was thinking an Arcadian chapter just because Azaelwyn's having such a good time going with it.
Absolutely.
Doing all the terrifying for us.
I was thinking more terror, but I mean that could just be me.
It's gonna. I mean,
yeah.
Because
it's. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just ending you, or at least
okay.
I was trying to.
Because the characters are so elderly, and there's such a potential for terror there that maybe we jump straight to now things go from pretty dark to really dark, or at least as dark as we can get them.
I'm not a robot anymore. Okay.
Yay!
Yay!
As much as that was fun.
Also,
couldn't create any new accounts, unfortunately.
Yeah. Be great.
All right. So, what's the consensus there? Do we do a
what are the travelers saying? So it's from their perspective. They're
True.
essentially the point of view characters. So we've already established we have these themes of innocence, of getting old, of reclamation, of death. And so the Arcadian is a very good way to have the travelers explore that. The Terrors chapter would be, well, we're really going to put these ideas to the test. I think both are good. I think both establish our structure. For a 1-2 punch, 1-3 makes sense, but there's really no reason why the Arcadian can't provide that focus anyways. The Arcadians chapter starts with the narration from the Traveler, so the Traveler is able to kind of establish where we are. In the Terrors chapter, the Terror is able to become physical, is able to establish a physical character. I would be lying if I said I wasn't curious about what y'all had talked about. And you got fucking horns now, so...
He with the horns makes the rules now.
We all make the rules. We decentralize power.
Yes,
that's
decentralized
the
power.
thing.
I mean, it's spooky season, so we got to do terrors.
Yeah, I like
Seems like
that.
it is
That
the general
justification
consensus.
alone, I yes.
You can
and.
move them. Oh god.
Oh my
sorry,
god!
my horns.
They're
can
Yeah,
get-
they're bingeable. They're neat.
All right, so that means that the terror players give yourself 3 crumbs. I'm not saying yes, but I am saying this is interesting. So give yourself 3 crumbs. Arcadians, as always, we always have 2. travelers, I'm sorry to say, you only have one. You only have one crumb in a terror's chapter. So to begin, the terror players get to ask their question. This can be yes or no. It can be based on pre-established information or ideas, or you can create whole cloth ideas that have never once been discussed ever, and then we're struggling to find them. And the goal of everyone at the table, so the idea that we are all struggling and pulling in terms of tone is part of that, but everyone at the table's goal is to answer the question regardless of who asks it. So before we start the narration, and again, like the double player thing I'm gonna have to figure out, but between Morningstar and Gavin, as the terror, what is the question we are trying to answer in this chapter?
So yeah, I have an idea that I've put out in chat for Morningstar. Or unless you have an idea.
I think that's a great idea. The implication there.
Right.
Again, implication's the best. That's why the leading questions are my favorite in fiction of this kind. Go for it. What is our question for our next chapter?
Do you want to do it?
Yes. Do the travelers have a worthwhile life left to live?
Ooh.
Wow. Goodness gracious. That's pretty good. All right. So, do the travelers have a life worth left to live? Very good. So this is the question that we are all collectively trying to answer. We as the Arcadians, based on the characters we decide to include, based on the narration that we're using to fill in the world. The travelers, from your perspective, from your characters, like what you desire, and then as writers of this story, you're trying to answer this question. And the terror, your responsibility is to make everything awful and give us a definitive answer, yes or no. Is their life worth living or not? And then the moment, so we're all, as our parts, we're all individually driving towards an answer. And then the moment anyone at the table is able to say, you know what, I think we have our answer and suggest. And if people agree, then we say yes, and we check off that box. So with our two players, one of you is going to get to describe a piece of music, because again, the idea is that you pick this piece of music and you start to play it, and we all listen to it, and then that player will launch into a narration. And this narration establishes specifically where we are. So the idea is place, it's to ground us, it's a physical description, it's also emotional. Because you're terror, you have the ability to do this from a first-person perspective of your character and a third person's perspective of the world. So who wants to describe the piece of music, and who's gonna do the opening narration?
I have some ideas for music.
Okay.
I'm thinking we enter into the scene and hear old pop music from the 40s. There's some Tommy Dorsey, but it's very distorted.
Ooh.
To the point where the lyrics are mostly incomprehensible. The tune is entirely out of pitch. It sounds as if it is being played on a broken record player. Just enough that you know what you're hearing, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Yeah, and there's also that's when we fade in and see the two of you trudging through a cornfield with this small child on, was it Grandma's back?
Grandpa.
That's Terry Berry up on the shoulders.
Back, yep.
Terry Berry.
We see the child, and we see blood dripping down from under its burlap sack mask. But our heroes haven't noticed it yet. And we hear the off-rhythm clattering of sticks continuing to follow behind and getting closer. In that
So
sense.
give us some environment. Where are we? Put us in our place.
Yeah.
In our setting.
They have been following the child's directions into the cornfield to the point that they're deep inside the cornfield and have no idea which way they came in. So we see them spinning around and looking for their path back out and unable to locate it.
They've been cornered.
Great. The corn stalks are impossibly high. As Terry, Barry, and Grandma are with the Suitkinder. They have walked and walked and walked, and many miles and many hours have passed, and the moon has just barely almost reached a full quarter, and then has stopped growing. And the light comes down, and the stars begin to come out, and there's a sweet scent of spices and herbs and vegetable soups, and you realize how hungry you are. You haven't eaten since before you left to go to the park, before you've wandered here, and you stare up at the moon. These corn stalks, I don't remember them being so high. They 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot, 15 feet, just swaying back and forth over your heads with the slight wind.
Grandma has started calling the child thing that they found a child. Just child, can you see over the corn? Can you see
No.
see where the soup smell is coming from?
What smell?
Don't smell the delicious soup?
What smell?
Oh man, this kid doesn't smell.
The child starts to you feel a sharp pain in your ear, Terry Berry, as the Sootkinder is pressing its head against yours, and then there's this sharp sense of pain in your earlobe.
Give him a whap.
Ah.
Knock that off, or you're walking on your own.
Yes, sir.
Norman. That's the name of the crow, right?
Yes. The crow's name is Norman, and you see Norman swoop overhead for just a brief moment in the illumination of the moon. So the silverback caught by the light.
Norman, I see your silvery butt up there. Why don't you make yourself useful?
Huh? Caw! Sorry, can't hear you. Caw! Caw! Caw!
Huh?
Nobody in here but us crows. Caw!
Grandma
Guess we
again
just
starts
follow.
reaching into her purse and rummaging through and finds some crackers. And she shares them with Grandpa. Or god dang, Terry Berry.
Oh, no flirting. Fade out on flirting. Sorry, Grandpa. Sorry, that's good. Say that again. That was really good.
I found some crackers in the bottom of my purse again, and started to share them with Terry, and see if the Cinder kid, the child, wants to eat any.
Again, you can keep going. You can continue to narrate. What happened? What do you see happen?
Gotcha. Yeah, the little kid reaches down and snatches nearly the entire pack of crackers out of Grandma's hand and starts shoving them into his mouth. Crumbs are flying everywhere so that the crow can swoop in and get a little snack too. And Grandma, being very selfless, gives Terryberry the last cracker.
Bless your heart, Wolf.
Norman swoops down as Terryberry's about to eat the cracker and snatches it right out of the hand. Caw! And takes off into the sky.
You lousy seagull.
Ah!
Yes, and you see him flying in a particular direction. He might be leading you somewhere. Maybe he accepted that as payment for some dark deed.
The corn that's been growing taller and taller starts intertwining and making interesting, almost building-like shapes and making a slight tunnel towards the way that the crow has been flying as well.
Oh my god! It opens up. You've been sinking slowly into the mud, step at a step, and you come into what can only be described vaguely with the most imagination as a clearing. And then you realize it's not a clearing. Is it a forest? No, because there's no trees. And you realize there's an entire city, huge buildings, some towering like 3-4 stories high. It's a metropolis. But these buildings are made out of corn stalks. They've been woven together. They tower into the sky. And these huge buildings are just like the corn. They've been swaying back and forth in the wind. There's buildings. There's the streets are muddy, but every building is only composed of these woven filigree corn stalks.
And from the corn, a light sound of almost like you walked into a tavern and heard the piano playing, and you hear the tinkling of piano keys further into the buildings.
I ask, there's I don't have anything written down for this. This is just an idea as I'm continuing to work on the beta, but I want to have like an invitation mechanic. So like, I invite the terror to describe the song being played on the piano.
You can see the cogs in Morningstar's brain.
Well, you know, I must.
It's very beautiful. The song is beautiful.
No, it's lonesome. It's a remembering. It's a memory of days gone by, of times lost, times that will never be again. It's slow and sad. Once, perhaps, they both danced to it with their loved ones.
The Sootkinder wants to grab both of your get down and grab both of your hands, and it trying to goad you into a dance.
Yeah, I am Child. Child takes one hand of Terryberry, one hand of Grandma, and tries to spin.
Yeah.
Just as the Sootmen, right? Just as the Sootmen were dancing in a circle to the tune. The tune floats over the town square. The town square has a fountain, also composed entirely of these woven corn stalks at the base, and there's a middle of a fountain structure. It's like this giant, huge piece of corn. The corn is like 10 feet tall, and coming out of the corn are these like huge leaves that seem to suggest the idea of fountain water, but it's just the hairs of the corn slowly waving back and forth in the wind. And Child is trying to get you to hold hands. It is trying to get you to dance in a circle.
Child starts moving so quickly that they pull you around in a circle and around faster and faster until one of you topples over.
No, for it was not yet to pass. And I'm gonna give this to you, Gavin.
Thank you.
So that brings us back to the
as they spin and as they dance, Child's head opens and it falls away. The burlap sack opens like a flower, and there's a teeny tiny harpsichord plinking away the music that you hear. You thought it was off in the distance. It's been coming from him.
Inside the child.
From the child.
That's more terrifying than anything I'd come up with.
Right? I mean, I'm like trying to be like, pastoral, but I'm like, because I love horror so much.
Yes.
It's like it's like my partner Arcadian. I'm just like, oh shit, that was scarier than I meant it to be.
Yeah, you can see the wound in the neck where this
Damn it!
grown up.
He's just ending me.
Has grown up out of his head, and that's why it's been getting louder all this time.
That's great.
I'm just curious how he ate those crackers now.
I know, right?
Just jam them onto the keys.
They're
just like
in there.
they're like stuck. That's it's fabulous. In the keys of the harpsichord,
Yeah.
you can see these like broken bits of cracker like dancing up and down, like being knocked
It's
around
affecting
because
the
it
tune.
affected the tune. Thank you, yes and. I yes and you're yes and.
Grandma looks around and pulls her hand out of the child's hand and spins around to see that there are more people in this town. And everyone in the town is dressed like the scarecrows that we had seen on the way in. And they are coming off and towards the town center where the fountain is from all streets and alleyways towards Grandma and Terryberry.
Remember, Terror, you have a lot of tokens, and so the idea being in the Terror chapters, you can just be like laying into the travelers. Every time the travelers
Indeed.
are trying to find any normalcy, you're like, not true, it's weirder than that. Not true, it's darker than that.
Well, I will certainly say it is weirder than that. I was thinking this sounds more like a yes and, but
Great, go for it.
as they get closer, you start to see that they are withered. Their bodies are whole, but it is almost as if they have been desiccated by age, as are their clothes.
Yeah, they're clothes of a bygone era and very badly damaged.
Yeah, overalls, working class clothes. None of them have shoes. One strap over, barely held down by buttons. But their forms are still these soot shadowy shapes that cast no shadow.
Do, however, leave very sooty footprints behind them.
Yeah, because they have no shoes. So why wouldn't they?
But they're exiting the buildings from every corn-doored exit and just filling the streets, and they start processing down the road, and you notice they're coming up from behind you as well, and they sort of force you into a procession down the road.
Well, now you've done it.
Done
Norman.
what?
Norman floats over the top of your heads. He still likes doing these like slow circles. Do you remember the hand? Do you remember when they made the hand and they did this thing? with the finger. I don't got any fingers, but imagine I had a finger. We would do this. You didn't do that. You didn't do that with the finger. Should have listened to Bessie. Bessie was nice. Me, not so nice.
And you notice the general absence of any other crows in the area. There is.
Oh,
They do not want to come around here.
they would not come. Those are the nice crows. Me, meh.
So, with the strangers coming around, Terry's gonna see the soot creature and the sootkin with the harpsichord, and they're gonna tinkle the keys in his face.
Yes, and as your finger
Yes,
presses the
very good.
key, blood begins to pour from it.
Yeah, that's not
Slices you
good.
open.
I'm going to use
Excellent.
one of my tokens and say, no, but it's not actually blood. You notice it's raspberry jam.
Yeah, well done, well done, well
And that
done.
is where the good smelling food smell has also been coming from.
So my intention with these is that you when you do it, we all like lean in. So embellish the jam and the smell, if you would.
So, yeah, you lean in like, is that blood? But then you notice a whiff of your favorite Thanksgiving dish, your favorite dish at a feast, and you go to touch it, and like you think about tasting it, and yeah, it tastes like pretty much every delicious thing you've ever eaten, and it cloys at you, and you just literally do not want to let this child out of your sight now.
So again, the scene doesn't end until a player calls for it. We haven't seen the beast yet. However, might I suggest we now know that they have life still yet to live because of childhood memories of delicious food. That they've remembered recipes that like maybe their grandparents made, pies or jellies or picking berries. I suggest the answer is yes. That Terry Berry and Grandma still have a life yet to live. What do people think? Does this answer our question, or does it not answer our question?
Well,
Feel
I
free either way.
concede, even if I found nothing else to live for, as long as there's food.
I think there is still something left to reveal that might help us answer it further.
Great.
That the procession carries them on, and they smell more delicious food, where the rest of the scent was coming from. And when the procession carries them around, not carries them directly, but the procession forces them around a corner, you see all the people start to break off to one side or the other, and you see two graves dug in the ground directly ahead of you, surrounded by casseroles and all the delicious smells that you had been smelling.
Dios de los Muertos! Oh my goodness!
I mean, that's a Southern funeral if I ever saw one.
Oh my god! Huge O card. Oh man, Gavin, that was gorgeous. What a narration.
Yeah, they're luring you to your graves with the smell of the food that you've eaten throughout your life, the things you've loved the most.
Well, that's not right.
And that's when they start pushing from behind.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Take it. It's my last one. It's my last one. Take it.
Awesome. Thank you.
They place their hands. I do like this. I'm of two minds. I like the not even, but I like the it's not blood, it's jam. That's fun too. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna use that. They place their hands on you, but it's not to push. It's an embrace. It's a hug. The Suit Kinder are there. And they're singing. They're singing the songs that you remember. They're not whispering. They're saying the old words, the old songs. They're talking about recipes. They're saying about time, and they're holding you close. And for a moment, you realize that this is your family. These are not strangers. These are the people that you were born with and that you lived your entire lives with.
Megan?
to say at this point, Terry Berry is going to start swaying with the group to mimic the corn.
Oh.
Dang.
So
Oh, that's good.
they're going to
quick-
sway to music, sway with the corn, and sway with the wind.
Quick check-in with my fellow Arcadian. Do you have one token left?
Yes.
Okay, I have zero. I have zero. So one of the other requirements is that one roll has no tokens.
I just to add a little more tension to the scene. The sound of the sticks banging together is back, and now you can see the figures forcing their way through the crowd of people, the crowd of your loved ones, coming up from behind you, just forcing their way, pushing down. You see them kick your dog that died 20 years ago, and you can start to see that they're wearing uniforms. They're wearing blue coveralls, and they, again, feel very, very, you feel very disgusted by their appearance.
All right, I will use my token. No, but
Okay.
they still are not pushing you. They are still in uniforms and everything, but instead of making menacing sounds, it is like a band, almost like a band procession has come to the front to play you into whatever decision you make. And it is they started playing the wedding song from Terry Berry and Sherry Berry's wedding.
Aw.
Yay.
You made the terror awe.
Oh, exactly. Whoa.
The instruments are all made out of vegetables. So we got like a tuba that's like a huge green pepper. We got cymbals that are just like halves of pumpkin being, and yet they still are making the sound of a cymbal. Nobody questions it. And we have xylophone. We got the classic like playing on a rib cage, like xylophone there, but they sound like really like rockin' marimbas.
They had quite a jazzy wedding.
Go ahead.
They were cool back in the day. They were.
Andrea?
Yeah, Grandma looks over the crowd and sees all of the family members that have passed or that are still present, and she walks over to the grave that's dug in the ground and sees the stone with her name on it, and she climbs down into the grave and lays down. And as she's looking up at the sky, she sees the moon come back to full, and she stands up and crawls out of the grave, regenerated and feeling much better than she has in years. And she walks towards Grandpa. God, I'm so sorry. It's going to be just in there.
Flirting. Ha, ha, ha. No flirting.
She walks over and gives him a big hug and looks down at the soot child and says, "All right, I think I'm ready to go home."
But no.
But no.
Oh, fuck! I was about to be like, that sounds like our answer, but we got a contradiction. Go ahead.
As Grandma begins to try to climb out of the grave, it seems almost as if the escape is stretching away from her. What was once 6 feet becomes 6 yards, and then 6 miles.
Oh, dang.
Grandma realizes that if she wants to live the life that she has enjoyed, that she's going to have to work for it. And she crawls and she pushes and she breaks her shoes on the way out, but she gets there barefoot, dirty, and ready to move forward.
And as she reaches the top,
No, go ahead.
As you crawl out, one big hand pulls and grabs a section of a corn stalk that pulls you up, and shoeless, you re-enter, and the band erupts in glory, a hip hip hooray, and we cast down and we see footprints of Grandma Sooty, footprints being made out of the grave.
Yeah, and the band surrounds you, and you just get enveloped into the band. And Terry Berry sees this happen, and I think that you don't know whether you should be excited or terrified, because she's just gone.
Terrified.
So point of order. Describe something that they see or feel to force that, like that.
Yeah.
As the terror, your job is to add context.
Yeah.
It's like the most subtle of the three roles,
So,
right?
You saw one of the bandmates had drumsticks that were leaks a moment ago, and then they become police batons.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
And that's when Grandma gets pulled in, and you start to notice that these uniformed humanoids, you start to see things about them that terrify you. They're going to take you back to a world that you're not sure you're ready for.
Phew, that's really good.
Well, Terry Berry can't get to Grandma, so he's gonna grab the harpsichord Sootkin to make sure he doesn't get too far from him.
Don't want to lose that jam.
So another thing I haven't figured out is the do I have a mechanic for like suggesting that the question is answered? Like can only one player do it? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I was
like
wondering.
Yeah. I don't have a mechanic for that yet.
Does Grandma have their answer, but Terry Berry doesn't have their answer yet?
Well, it's more the idea that, like, as a player, I come forward and be like, well, maybe this is the answer, or is it like you can only suggest it once or whatever? To me, and I interrupted, I'm very sorry. I was suggesting that, okay, so the question is there life still left to live? Oh, there's food, there's family. But now it's like fascism. Now it's order. Now it's safety of family. Like, is there purpose to fight to live to their and theirs? Is that the answer? I don't have an answer. I'm asking the group. Does this answer the question?
Well, I actually had a thing that I was trying to do. So
do it.
Grandma's fought for her own life to climb out, and the specific wording we had was to what was it? To recapture innocence.
And
so,
do you have any worthwhile life left?
Do I have any worthwhile life left? Terry Berry wants to raise this Shadowkin. He has no family. He has no life. He's literally recapturing innocence. This kid has no choice.
He's kidnapping.
Yeah.
So,
well done, Terror. Way to recontextualize. You're doing your job. I appreciate it.
Yeah. He's doesn't want to go back. He doesn't know what's going on with Grandma, but his idea is like, I'm gonna teach this kid about Santa and pie and jam. This will be great.
Yeah.
And also they hear in the distance, Terry, is that you? And it sounds suspiciously like Sherry.
Oh
yes.
You're not the Terror. I gotta.
Well, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they want to.
Yes.
Maybe they want to be together like that in Soot Heaven.
Yes, and she takes your hand and tries to lead you down into the grave.
I lost my headphones. Sorry, guys.
So she tries to take Terry's hand and lead you down into the grave.
We could raise the Soot child together.
She tells you she thinks you have 3 choices. You can come into the grave with her. You can run away from all of this and raise the child in this magical world. Or you could go back and follow Grandma. That's how she sees it. She wants you in the grave with her.
Sorry, so Sherry's in the grave?
And she loves you.
Yeah.
Well done.
She is decaying, of course.
I don't have any tokens. I can't help. I'm sorry. I wish I could help, but I can't. This is all happening.
You can decay together, though.
Oh my god.
And in fact, your fingertips seem to start to be withering away.
Mm-hmm. Where the jam came out.
The jam.
Eating away.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the bone beneath.
As Terry looks at his hand, he realizes that perhaps this is the end of his adventure. All he wanted was, well, no, not gonna end it all cheesy, but this is,
All
he
he wanted
sees his
was
hand. So much cheese. But he sees his hand and his decaying wife and realizes that they had life together, they can have afterlife together. And he'll scoot on in there, but he'll bring a casserole down too.
Aww.
And they can eat it together.
Yeah.
You see the corn stalks
So
swaying
he'll-
above. That's little bits of dirt start to fall in.
So the Arcadians have no tokens. I feel like our question's been answered if everybody agrees.
Yeah.
So then I call for a fade out.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's Under the Autumn Strangely. I feel like the check-in is like, how are we doing? Do we want to do another scene? Of course we could. And at this point, I'm like, I feel like we told a whole story, and then we're good. So that's it. That's
And it's
essentially like what I
perfect,
got.
because one ending's happy and one ending's
A little
Yeah.
more
still
sad.
happy, but less.
Yeah.
Different
I
happy.
kind of see the
Life worth living, okay?
the camera kind of rising up from the grave and looking down and seeing a solemn but kind of happy scene. And as it rises up, you see the 4 orderlies walking Grandma back to the old folks' home.
Oh, it's pretty good.
That was our terror. We were the ravages
Oh.
of time, and we
Very
wanted them
good.
to go back and live out the rest of their life, but only under our care.
Ooh.
That's really good. I have a section that I've written because I actually talked about this on Twitter, but I recently rewatched Return to Oz, which was a movie I loved as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching it with my partner, and my partner's like, why would she go back? She should stay in Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the middle of like writing this game and talking about stuff. So I wrote like a whole chapter or like a little paragraph, a long paragraph about like, you're lost in a world that you don't understand. Do you want to go home? Do you want to leave Narnia? Do you want to go back to Kansas?
Yeah.
Is it better? Is it worse? Does it make the story more interesting? Dorothy always goes back to Kansas, but like, should she?
Yeah.
And there's no answer to that. And I like that being contextual to the story that you discover as you tell it. For just like a little debrief, I would love to like go around and like let people talk about in my home games. I usually refer to these as like roses and thorns. A rose can be your favorite moment. It can be to shout out another player for something that happened, or it can be like something that you experienced. It doesn't matter. And then the thorn is not necessarily something bad, but like it could also be like a delta. So like something, deltas. Something you wish was different, or something that was difficult for you personally, or something you would want to explore in the future. So Rose, I want to kick it to Gavin. Gavin, do you have a rose? Do you have a moment that stood out for you?
Yeah. Well, my first thought was just the way you interjected some whimsy, especially right at the beginning with the talking animals. I feel like that was really helpful because that kind of really jettisoned us fully into the other world, whereas
Mhm.
my brain hadn't really gotten there yet. So yeah, with that, it was like, and we're off. So for me, that was a real big moment that was really useful and helpful for getting the ball rolling. Let's go, Megan, Thorn.
Probably my own shortcoming of not really understanding how to interact, or more so my inexperience with the role play. But I very much enjoyed every part of it. I would think I would just like to try Kenya if I were to play again.
Yeah. So maybe the
That's so nice.
yeah the inability to have played more than one, which is part of how Graham has designed the game. So that's good. That's a thorn that he's already anticipated. Cool.
Andrea, Rose.
Let's see. Rose wise, I think it was just the freedom to be more creative than you get to be in a lot of other games. I feel like we do a pretty good job in Children of Midnight, giving people that kind of freedom, but I feel like this is almost just like a completely different level. The idea that there's no dice and, it's all about sitting down and is very.
We lost you, Robot Land, for a second there, but can you repeat like the last 3 or 4 words?
The idea of being able just to sit down and tell a story together is really appealing.
Awesome.
Yeah, somebody in chat said it reminded them of 10 Candles, and it does. It's
Yeah.
It reminds you of
Love 10 Candles. Big fan.
Who you want to kick it to, Andrea?
Azerwin.
With a rose or thorn?
I want to hear all the good things. Tell me your
Roses.
I didn't intend it to be a choice. I intended it to be roses and then thorns. But
sorry.
I love that you yes-anded me. So honestly, like how can I complain?
No, honestly, I really loved the it's hard to explain how that. Let me get my brain to make the right words. Let's do that. But I really loved how we could like gather up on each other. Although I do feel like maybe the Arcadian has a little bit too much power, so it's halfway a thorn. I think maybe the Arcadian's a little too OP, especially when I keep accidentally being a terror.
Could you tell me more about that?
More like sometimes I feel like we controlled a little bit too much. Like you said, like sometimes I was kicking it to the terrors a little bit too much, and I didn't quite understand exactly in the beginning like my role of answering the question that was asked. But that I feel like that might be my only critique, I would say, rather than a thorn.
No. I accept it all, and I'm very interested. So thank you.
Oh, and I guess we will do Morningstar will be the last one with a full rose then.
Yes, well, there's not many other people you could send it off to at that point.
Yeah, I'll
We
just
saved the
we'll
best
just send it
for
That's
around.
the last.
I do love roses. But I would say that, as everyone else has said, that the freedom is really the most marvelous thing, that ability to sort of adapt as you went. Gavin and I were discussing throughout what we were sort of leading into, and we adapted a little bit as we felt it would be perhaps more relevant to the story, and that freedom to sort of just reveal a little bit because you're just making it up as you go along is quite marvelous. And I must say, as a rose just for this little session, I did find Megan and Andrew's characters particularly charming.
Totally.
The idea to create just these two elderly people in a tale where we were very much leading towards children.
Yeah. Yeah, it really shaped the game in a really awesome way that neither of them expected. Andrea told me during the break they did not plan that together. They just came up with it both on their own. That's awesome.
It was especially charming. I would say the only thorn is, again, mostly related to working through a digital format. It's a little bit difficult to read the body language, to assert yourself in a specific, time or phrase or what have you, knowing when someone's going to do that so you don't do the same.
Yeah.
You're talking about crosstalk, the difficulties of crosstalk, and
Yes.
I mean there are 6 of us, which like
Yeah.
yeah, you know, in a standard sort of like, you know, MC, you know, setting, like 6 PCs would be for me like an absolute max when you're at the table or at either their convention or with people you know.
Yeah.
So the idea that like I'm like we're all DMs, you know, that's great input. Thank you.
I think the Arcadian comes across as the DM in my mind. Just, you know, they kind of
The
are
world shaper.
Yeah, like they're it's almost like it's not like their part of the triangle is bigger, but it feels like it encompasses a whole field of things, whereas the other two have very narrow points, but they're very powerful to the structure of changing things. So it balances out, but yeah, I think the Arcadian is, if you are a always GM, the Arcadian is probably the good place for you to go to start, because it'd probably feel the most comfortable. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think about like how I'm going to describe it, and the idea that like, okay, so you're not, so you know, you're like are you there to balance between these travelers, these people who are not there, and then the what can the terror do that's not explicitly like awful? Like, can they suggest things? And so the idea of how I decide to use it within a zine format, like very few words. I love the limitation. So like the idea is I'm going to send off this cookbook out into the world, and then people are going to go make these recipes. You know, they're going to make their games at the table. And so how do I communicate the ideas of what I'm trying to do, knowing that I'm not going to be there? And so how is it shared? Everything that I'm currently writing is the idea that like, you can still do it. You could also like encourage each other, you know. This actually leads me into my rose, which is I loved the upswing of the terror players. For the first half, I could tell that Gavin and Morningstar both of you were easily saying the least of everyone. Because you weren't sure how to interject. Yeah.
Slow burn horror is better anyway.
I'm not going to disagree. But like, what does that mean? You know, like, how do I describe what that role is and how to do it? But I also wanted to make sure that with 6 voices, 6 voices make it one story. I am always conscious as when I am at a table that like people are being heard, people are being listened to. Part of that is that I'm doing it's kind of a weird thing, you know. I'm trying to hand people the talking stick and being like, this is shared by everybody. So what I loved was the slow interactions that occurred, and then I don't know if it was again like the comfort of the system or the idea of like, okay, like, do people feel comfortable coming forward, because that's kind of a big ask socially, particularly for people who are shy. That's a big consideration for me. And then by the end, it felt like a war, and I had thrown away my 2 tokens. I was trying to establish details of the world, but again, I felt like, for me, what's magical about tabletop role playing is that you obliterate the difference between participant and audience. You are simultaneously enjoying the story and making that story, no matter what system you are. And so I wanted to create a game that highlights that. And I felt that I like faded to the background. I felt like the traveler characters were fighting for their lives, and I felt like the terror players were like, I have the themes and I'm going to give them to you. And so as a fan of horror fiction, I was enjoying all the details. As a fan of the traveler characters, these adorable old people that I want to see succeed. And then there was a piece of my mind at the back that I was like, but what if it all went wrong? What would that look like? That would probably be pretty cool, right? And I loved beginning at that point and then getting there, because it felt like everyone, by that last chapter, everyone felt comfortable donating, which more than anything is what I'm trying to do, is trying to make sure that everybody feels heard, everybody feels listened to, and that the rules that I'm writing empower people to do that. So that's 100% my rose.
Yeah, awesome. I think damn it, I lost it right at the last moment, right when you were wrapping up. I completely lost what I was gonna say. We kind of stacked the deck, I feel like. We kind of made it so no matter what happened with the characters, we would feel like we kind of won as the terror. Like, we weren't trying to murder them, but we were kind of like stacking the deck so that all of the options had a little bit of terror in them.
Fabulous. I hope everybody feels that agency to be able to do that.
I had one quick thing to say. I was holding so many stones at the end. I was thinking it was almost when I looked down and I saw all these that I had, I felt like I had a mandate to be the strongest voice. And I feel like it's almost like when you look around and you see who has all the tokens, it's almost like they have a mandate. It's if there was an initiative system, it could be whoever has the most tokens gets to talk first. Just an idea that I thought about just when I happened to notice that I had so many tokens.
Yes, it does work that way in a sense.
So the idea that you would feel there was a mandate, I feel like, is already there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a soft incentive because you feel powerful, and that's kind of my intention, is that in the beginning game you're establishing the world, and then the slow burn horror, well identified by Morningstar, and by the end, like, my idea is that if you this is a terrorist chapter, everything is passing to you because people are trying to stop you, but that's only making you more powerful, which is my idea, that the fact that these currencies are passing back and forth. So I like the initiative idea. I just wonder if like emotionally you got there regardless.
No, I totally agree. I don't think it needs to be like a written, like, standardized thing, but I do feel that was the way I saw it, and it's the same with, like you said, when you first start the game and the Traveler, when the Traveler has 3, they have the mandate. You know, they can do the most with what they have. And I find that very interesting that it actually, like, it not only is it there, but it just trickled into my mind just from seeing it physically represented as tokens. So, yeah, and I think an in-person game, that would be even more obvious to everybody, because everybody could look over and see the terror player just hoarding all these tokens. So, yeah.
Get very afraid. Yeah. And I think, again, as you said, the arrangement of the chapters, I think it can really tell completely different stories.
Absolutely.
Because you could tell a story that does end on the terror, and more likely than not, it's going to have a less pleasant ending.
Yeah.
But you could still have that sort of that chapter of the terror and then go afterwards to a Traveler one just to wrap it up nicely. Still have a little bit of terror there, but something a little bit more positive.
Yeah, I was thinking back to, as we were playing, I was thinking back to the inspiration for this being Over the Garden Wall, and thinking about how, because you start with them having, with the audience having no memory of what had happened to them, it's almost like they start with the terror maxed out. And then it stays pretty rough. Like, it's almost like 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 or something, you know, like, it never feels, until the very end, until they get away, it never feels like it's the Traveler's story. It's the story of the world, and it's the story of the terror. And then at the end, when they finally break away and you actually get to see what happened from the beginning, you find out, it was the Traveler's story, and it ends as the Traveler's story. But in between, it was so not. Yeah. Because I thought when you first said the Traveler 3, then 2, then 1, I thought, that's the standard, that's like the hero's journey. But yeah, then when I thought about that, it was like, but that's not what they did. So that's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like it being a television show and it being episodic, because they were able to do what they want. And I could even, I mean, talking about the hero's journey, talking about structure, like a single episode is a breakdown of 1, 2, and 3. Like if you have these micro things, it's not a single episode by any means. Like, okay, this is the light part of the episode. This is the middle part of this. And this is the dark part of the episode.
Yeah.
There's really no reason it doesn't have to have that continuity. And again, it's the idea of what makes sense at the table and how you establish. Like, none of us could have predicted it was about old people and death and family and food and soot children. But because we made it together, now we all own it. And therefore, it's that much more special. So figuring out how to use these tools is more important to me than being like, this is the right and wrong way to make a story.
Absolutely.
So how do you end these things, Gavin?
We usually go around and let everybody know where they can find us online if they want to follow our other projects. We would recommend that people go and check out this game. It will be out next year around this time.
Yep.
And I guess if they were to follow the Kickstarter page, or if they were to join our Discord, or join a Discord that Graham will probably be talking about in a few minutes, they'll make sure to get updates as we find out how we can get a hold of this game in the future. So let's jump right to Graham, and you can tell us about yourself and where we can find you.
So I write a lot of games. This is my first attempt to do within Zine Quest. Zine Quest has had 4 years running. I adore Zine Quest. I've largely been a consumer of Zine Quest. It's part of Kickstarter. People like me are encouraged to make these small games and do it. And it's kind of my favorite part of the crowdfunding world, because while I love board games and making board games, I almost never kickstart them. But the idea that like somebody has a $5, $10, $15 idea that I'm like, yes, absolutely. It has the feeling of me of going and like buying somebody's CD in the back of a van after like seeing their band play. And I love that. I love how punk rock it is. I love how accessible it is. And the idea that like I have $5 in my pocket and that I give it to you and it means so much more to you is a feeling that I never get sick of. And so I've been part of anthologies, and I've been an editor, and I've like worked on their projects largely with Ninth Level Games. Ninth Level Games does like Kobold It My Baby and the Polymorph system. I do a lot of work with them. And this project was me saying, I'm going to do a Zine Quest game completely on my own. So I'm designing everything. I'm the manager of it. I'm talking to the backers. I've designed games completely on my own, but this is also like, I'm going to make it a book and I'm going to give it to you. And so I'm excited for what is coming. You can find me on Twitter. This may be Graham. I follow Ninth Level. I'm also the education lead of Cast Gamers. They're on Twitter. They have a Discord. Balsamic Gaming. Balsamic they're Games. Great too.
Thank you.
Follow Balsamic Games. Follow them on Twitter. Get to their Discord. Follow the Twitch. This was such a pleasure to be part of. I will have a backer kit for the game, but I'm solely responsible for getting this game out. So right now it's just the writing, designing, layout, and getting more fabulous art done. The game blew my expectations out of the water in terms of the money I was going to get, which just means that I can give more money to more artists and give more people to more things. So it just means that the book's going to be better, and that Shenza Della Donna is going to do more stuff. She is so talented, and I am extremely lucky to be her friend and be her collaborator. So shout out to her. She's on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter and follow y'all on Twitter. And I'll see you in 12 months with a full game.
Awesome. Let's go around the circle. So Megan.
Megan. I'm the photographer and editor for the Morningstar content. You can follow us at any of the Morningstar links that Morningstar will provide. And my own personal stuff, there's nothing really going on Twitter unless you want to hear about the Cricket Chronicles at my office. Or you can check out Seafoam Workshop. It's behind the scenes and editing videos, as well as some fun little things of the inside of my brain, working with the muse. But there's not too much there right now. I'm working on it. I'm just a little bit clogged on the precedent of Morningstar content, but hopefully to have more up soon.
All right, Andrea.
Someone else take it away.
Andrea.
Yeah, I'm Andrea. I am one half of the writing team at Balsamic Moon Games. And yeah, we have a Discord server, and we also have, I don't know, we have Twitter, we have everything. They're all in there. The links are in there. If you want to follow me specifically, you can catch me on Instagram at Wildwood Witch, and you can catch me on Twitter at Wildwood Witch. You should follow me because I post pictures of the pigs. Baby Stephanie, and she's adorable.
You.
Graham's been giving me shit about
I adore pigs. I adore pigs. That's all I'm gonna say.
Stephanie is the best. Oh man, yeah. I'm excited. She's so good. It's gonna be fun watching her grow up. But yeah, and I also stream on Fridays. I do like paranormal investigation, witchy content stuff on my channel, which is Wildwood Witch again. And we should be there this Friday. Yep. Sorry we missed you last week. We had to get ready to take the kids to the beach. But yeah, it was fun. We had a great time.
And the pig.
And the pig had to go to a babysitter.
A piggy sitter.
And they posted great pictures of her
yeah,
too.
They did.
It was good. But yeah, we'll see you on Friday, and if not on Friday, then next Tuesday.
And yeah, I'm the other half of the writing team. We make Children of Midnight Coven, our Forged in the Dark game about witches, which we will get back to next Tuesday. We'll be playing the series finale of Night Sky Sanctum. So the 42nd, I think, episode of Night Sky Sanctum Coven will be their last. So
that's perfect. 42, yeah.
It is, and then we'll start a new. Then we'll start a new coven soon thereafter. And next week we will probably hit our 1,000 followers goal. We are at 998 right now.
Come on tonight, y'all. Two more. Who's in the chat? 2 more. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, Azalin.
And I am Azalin, and you can find me everywhere at Azalin, except for on TikTok as under Goddess Azalin. I will actually have quite a bit of content coming up in the next month, basically until the end of the year or the end of January. I have a few models lined up to take photographs of. I will be releasing all my spoopy paintings, which will probably finish about the week after October, and those paintings will also be up for sale, but also I will do prints of them as well. And basically, yeah, just keep an eye out on the chaos is coming to an end and the rebirth of the Phoenix is coming out.
And Morningstar. Play us out.
I was wondering if I would somehow get missed because we were going in a different order. Kind of hoping it'd be fun. But I'm an absolute nobody, darlings, of course. But if you, for some reason, want to see photographs of me that have been edited by someone who's moderately capable at it, you can go look up the Cytherian on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Every week I basically say that we have something special. This week is no exception, but you'll be the judge of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is special every week. Last week was Yalakard, which was magnificent.
Yalakard was the best.
Yeah.
I did everything I could to keep that a secret because I wanted the pun to be able to slap people across the face with the photograph.
Yeah, is that on the Discord yet? Is that on the Balsamic Discord?
That is on. I'm trying to get the
everywhere.
link.
I feel like you should link it up there.
Cytherian is.
So for 2 more followers, come to the Balsamic Discord.
Yeah, well, actually, go to the Cytherians Patreon would be the best place. Then you can see all of those fantastic pictures.
But that's where you see all the roughs as well. But you can find them on Twitter or Instagram
Yes,
or
that's true.
Facebook as well.
But if you want to see all of them, all sometimes 40, 60 pictures that they post on their Patreon, you get to see everything. You get to see
Not everything in
Not
the
everything.
Picard sense.
You get to see stuff that's good. All right. Well, yeah, we will see you again on Friday. If you join our Discord, we have movie nights every Saturday night. We usually watch some good horror movies, and we'll try to get one going this week. This Friday, we will have a Wildwood Witch episode, and we will have some awesome paranormal stories that we have been collecting over the last few weeks. So come join us there. And otherwise, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much, Graham, for running this for us. This was magnificent. It was such a fun detour from what we usually do. So, yeah. And we'll see you all again very soon. Have a good night.
Goodbye, darlings.
Thank you.